Information, inspiration, motivation, conscientisation et surtout, distraction. Gardez tout, votre pot pourri avec Flore. Votre Flore, tous les samedis, 6h, 7h. Gardez tout, la radio pour réfléchir.
I'm your surgeon, Dr. Roman Joseph.
This show is brought to you by Jeff Hess, Attorney at Law, 305-255-2797. Ça, c'est avocat PAM. Jeff Hess, spécialisé dans accident machine. Ou glisser ou tomber dans la rue, dans maquette, avocat pour les cougner là, c'est Jeff Hess, 305-255-2797. Jeff también habla español, 305-255-2797. Allo avocat c'est Jeff. Ma pralerie les cougner là, 305-255-2797.
August 18th, 2020, South Dade is ready to elect Marie-Flore Lindor-Latortue, candidate for Miami-Dade County School Board District 7. Dr. Flore is a servant for all. She is fair, fearless, a fighter for salary revision for teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, nurse educators, and social workers. She is a wife and mother, a community advocate and lifelong educator, a radio and TV personality who continues to share her microphone to uplift all and bring issues such as services for all children with special needs and understand how to apply distance learning. On August 18th of 2020, let's make education first by electing Marie-Flore Lindor-Latortue to Miami-Dade County School Board District 7.
I'm Marie-Flore Lindor-Latortue, and I approve this message.
Bonjour, bonsoir. Bienvenue à une nouvelle sortie de Radio TV avec Dr. Flore. Radio TV avec Dr. Flore, c'est une émission qui rentre la caillou chaque semaine. Et semaine ça, nous portons un candidat encore dans la série Meet and Greet the Candidates. My name is Dr. Flore Lindor-Latortue. It gives me great pleasure to be with you again this week for another series of Meet the Candidates and on Radio TV with Dr. Flore. As you all know, we've been doing radio and television for over 13 years, radio for over 28 years, and from home to a candidate home, we're gonna bring you their equal platform. I will let my guest introduce himself for you today. Go ahead and tell us who you are, Mr. Ford.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Harold Ford. I'm a candidate for Florida House District 117.
Moi, je suis Monsieur Ford, Harold Ford. Moi, c'est un candidat pour District 117. Mr. Ford, I need to do the disclaimer that on Radio with Dr. Flore, we already interviewed 2 candidates, and how many of you are in the race? That way the public knows how many people in the race have been seen and interviewed.
There are 3 candidates in the race.
Okay, then Mr. Harold Ford is the 3rd candidate in the race, and we are very pleased to have you. C'est 3e candidat qui l'en kousa, qui pour district 117, eh bien, li pral partager avec nous plateforme. Mr. Harold Ford,
Yes.
how long have you been living in District 117? Because, you know, in politics, sometimes people live in North Miami Beach and come one and the South. Let Haitian community travel with you a little bit more. How long you've been living in the South?
Well, I've been living here since 1966. I was born here. I was raised here. I went to school here, and I'm currently back living here.
OK. Monsieur Fordino li fait l'industrie depuis 1966. Et c'est pas vinyle vini, c'est la caille. La caille in Creole means that's your home. You were born here, li fait là depuis 1966. Et nous comptons que l'appel partager expérience là avec. From 1966 to today, that makes it about 54 years. Then
Yes.
what are the good, the bad, and the ugly? Because I think you can give us that perspective. What does District 117 represent for you?
Basically, 117 represents my entire life, the totality of my existence, the evolution I've seen when it was very, very much more of a farming community, and have it generally grow into a small but yet progressive urban territories within District 117, where you see a lot of small places where there's little to no farming and all residential, to businesses that are starting to plant themselves here and create an economic engine.
L'idée de toute année ça yo, c'est une zone qui était presque une zone qui était jardin seulement, et avec le temps li wè évolution yo, et kounye la gagné une série de business qui établit dans zone. Education wise, how many schools are there in the district? Where did you go to school? Tell us a little bit.
Okay, and if I went through Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I attended Pineville Elementary, Mays Junior High School, and Miami Southridge Senior High School. I briefly went away to the University of Florida, where I have a bachelor's degree in statistics, only to come back, and now I have several degrees from FIU, one a Master's of Arts in Religious Studies, a Master's in Business Administration, and a specialist degree in Ed Leadership.
Then with ça, li dit que li sont élèves l'école publique, c'est le système dans l'allée, li était allé dans l'école qui est les Pines Elementary, et après ça, l'aller dans Southridge High, qui a 114 ans. Southridge High, for all this year, has been in that same location on 114th Avenue?
Yes.
OK, li a 114 Avenue. Et puis ensuite, il fait des études supérieures, il gagne un degré en business, il est un professionnel, etc. Then, with so many accolades and education background, running for office, what inspires you?
What inspires me is the need to see my community excel to where it could be, and making it a beacon of what it should be. Meaning that, we have the potential to really be a great, great community. However, we've fallen short in decades as well as years past because of a lot of inaction and sometimes the wrong action. And I do realize things change, and there are unforeseen circumstances, i.e. like COVID-19, or if we go back to 1992 when Hurricane Andrew came through. But if we pull those resources together, as we did during that time, even coming forth now to dealing with COVID-19, I think we can excel and do better and make our community a great community once again.
Il dit que ça qui inspire pour lui courir pour office pour zone ça, eh bien, c'est l'inspirer parce que c'est une zone qui souffrit, parce que c'est zone ça qui était plus souffri pour cyclone Andrew, et puis qu'on est là, mais il a souffri, on a fait COVID, lui-même, lui, ouais que conseil de action que yo pas prend pour zone qui peut ta fait que les côtés li doué la journée jeudi. Alors c'est ça qui inspire. Then for people watching you and listening to you for the first time, then you brought your desire to see District 117 excel. Tell us a little bit the boundaries of that district so people can visualize the evolution and the excellence that you're referring yourself to.
Right. Well, essentially, the district itself runs straight down US 1 from Richmond Heights, 152nd Street and Richmond Heights area, all the way down to Florida City. And it actually goes to the left and, I'm sorry, to the east and west of US 1 as it goes down that corridor in different places. But for the most part, if you follow US 1, whether you look left in some places or look east in some places and look west in other places, you'll find yourself going down the corridor of District 117.
Li dit que c'est un district qui commençait sur US 1 jusqu'à 152. Says when we said 152nd, do you get inside 152nd? Because if I'm coming south on 152nd, when I make a left, then it's the library, the Coral Reef Library. Do you get constituents from that area, or it's only US 1?
Yes, no. It's directly. In other words, if I want to get to 152nd, I go west up until the turnpike the district goes. And then it starts going south.
Past one, just right before 117.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Then it overlaps with the commission seat, District 9.
Correct.
No, that's exactly where you are. Then that's exactly the district. Okay, Coral Reef High School is also
Correct.
of your district. Okay,
Yes.
the school board of District 9, part of it, you guys are sharing the same territories.
That is correct.
Palmetto, you have Palmetto as well?
No.
No Palmetto. Okay, and you said it goes all the way to Florida City?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Describe the economy or the attraction that we have. We have the golf course on 152nd. That
Correct.
as an elected officials can be considered as tourism.
Correct.
And 211 South Dade Cultural Center, is that yours too?
No, we're actually just missing that piece. It's like a small carve out. So we're missing that particular piece. And the bulk of District 117 is primarily residential.
OK. Li dit que en réalité, district parti ça qui est South Dade Cultural Center Paladin, mais li gagne un corridor, une série de corridors. Then those corridors we can put Richmond Heights. That is part of it. And I'm trying to see events that have occurred in that district that brings all cultures. Which one do you recall?
Most of the events that happen will happen at different local parks. You know, the parks in Richmond Heights, the parks in Perrine, the parks in Goulds and Naranja, down in Homestead, and then down in Florida City. So most of our events will happen at different local parks where we're bringing those cultural elements together, be it sports, be it just little festivals or carnivals and things of that nature.
Okay, excellent. Then, now, Noël, il dit que 3 activités yo arrivé dans différents parcs. Par exemple, sous l'Emperine, sous l'Angouze, c'est comme ça. But the district is also facing several issues as it relates to gentrification.
Yes.
Most likely, I could say Perrine. What is your platform? Why should Haitian who live in that Homestead Avenue and also Florida City, what should they expect from you?
Okay, well, first I would like to say I don't offer a platform, I offer a plan. Because platforms basically are aspirations and plans are actually designed to be implemented to get results. So what I, impose to do or look to do is focus on five areas initially, but also it can grow and evolve as my service continues. But first is enhancing our education system, because again, we need to improve the quality of our education system. But
In
even
that
now,
area, yes.
and even now under COVID-19, we need to enhance and improve the distance learning piece of our education system until we can get schools safe enough to return, for students to return. I didn't know if you wanted to translate.
Yon lan élément, li même li pa pale de plateforme, parce que plateforme nan son bagay wap désiré, tandis que plan son bagay wap amélioré. Il dit que yon nan bagay qui est important pour lui, c'est éducation, parce que zone nan vraiment besoin pour yon monde, ta vraiment bay valeur à éducation. Then education is one. Then you said 5. What are the other 4?
Okay. Improving our transportation and infrastructure. Because again, we were promised the rail system to assist us in getting back and forth as we navigate through our county, but obviously we've come up short. So with that, my plan is, again, looking at a municipal initiative that will lead the county in the direction that it needs to go in order to get the funding that's necessary to make it happen. But without funding, i.e. from the county, and also pulling state dollars and potentially federal dollars into the coffers, it's going to be difficult for us to make that happen. And my goal as your next representative is to focus on getting the resources together so that we can make this happen.
Education, transportation. Now we're going to the third pillar. Which one is it?
The third pillar would be expanding affordable housing. And what do I mean by expanding affordable housing? We know what the cost of living in Miami-Dade County is very expensive. And so what we are tasked to do is change the model that has been used for decades since affordable housing originally originated. And what our goal is to change the model to more of a rent-to-own opportunity for families. Because once we get them to the stage, for example, create a 5-year plan that will allow them to rent a particular unit or dwelling, and after that 5th year, they would have an opportunity to purchase. And we all know that you can purchase and your mortgage will be less than what you paid for rent in many instances, because of the rent trap that a lot of our people who are low income and qualify for affordable housing is currently tasked or challenged with. Because of that rent trap, it makes it more difficult to get people to that next level of becoming homeowners, which now empowers them instead of keeping them under the oppressive affordable housing model that we currently have in our society. And that's the third pillar of this 5.
Li di ke li ta reme aider lan zafè kay, parce que ça c'est yon gros problème lan zone nan. Florida City, that's where you have the massive Haitian population. And honestly, they are suffering. That's have you visited some churches? What interaction have you have in order to earn the Black votes?
Well, I've been in a number of different places. I haven't visited any churches in Florida City, but I have been driving through the city, going around and meeting different people. I'm also in the process of purchasing a property in Florida City that I want to also use to help those individuals who may be aging out of foster care, may be residing in close proximity, to again, set them up similarly with a 3 to 4 year program that would be state funded so that we can again, help them or prepare them to go out into the world amidst of all of their challenges on being in the foster care system. But more importantly, my goal is to always empower those whose paths I cross. So,
qui ça li kote fait pour communauté haïtienne nan, surtout dans Florida City, li dit que li même li gen intention pour l'acheter yon terre dans zone nan, la Florida City même, pour capable mettre l'argent l'État tout pour créer des programmes qui pour aider. Il dit en demandant le monde noir, il dit oui pour aider le monde noir. Then we went over education, transportation, housing, the two last pillars.
And the two last pillars is one is small business development and enhancement, and the last one is criminal justice reform.
Okay. Give us example of what you will do with small business development.
Well, small business development, what's happening now is when we look at statistics, statistically, Black businesses have a 95% rejection rate, or Black people have a 95% rejection rate by banks and financial institutions when it comes to going out and getting business loans. Hispanic businesses have a 91% rejection rate. You know, where an Asian business, I think it's about 83, 85%, somewhere in there. But the problem that we have with our small businesses is, one, we need a program and a system in place that helps develop those small businesses, build capacity, and strengthen them so that when they go to a lending institution in their efforts to expand their business, it decreases the opportunity for rejection. Right now, we have the federal government that's getting ready to cut, one of the most recent bills is getting ready to cut minority business development programs by 75%. And that is a very, very concerning matter for me, because again, you say that in one breath, small businesses are the life force of the economy, but then why are we trying to hurt small businesses and small business owners by not allowing them access to the resources that can help them expand, help them grow, and help them become more vibrant? So for small businesses, my goal would be to, again, strengthen those programs, make sure we have the resources in place to help them position them so that when they approach a bank, they will have a greater chance of success and being approved so that they can go ahead and grow their business in the direction that they feel envisioned to do so.
Il dit que gon paquet business qui souffri, li même mentionné business pour panyol yo tout, et li dit que faut li gagner une série de stratégies que l'envie mettait en place pour business sa yo ka bénéficier. I'm happy that you included the Hispanic community and the business development plan, because if you originally studied that interview acknowledging that it's an agricultural area and most of us farmers are Hispanic descent, and some of the laborers from Haitian, undocumented Haitians, then I'm happy that you're not leaving them out, because that's very important. Criminal justice, what is the plan there?
Criminal justice reform, it's a multi-phased plan. And first of all, again, going back and looking at statistics, you know, seeing what has happened and the tragedy that was experienced by George Floyd, his family, and others that have undergone the tragedies or issues of police brutality. When we go back and examine police officers, there was a study done not long ago that shows us there's an increase in the suicide rate among police officers. There's an increase in reports of abuse. Now, I mean, this is outside of their normal job or position as an officer, but in the relationships, i.e. marriages. And then there's also an increase in the divorce rate. And that tells me that there's a lot going on with the stresses of that particular job that a lot of us are ignoring. And I'm not excusing that or using that as an excuse, because when we talk about reform, one of the first steps that I would love to see put in place or instituted, and I think it should be, is that one, police officers should be psychologically examined annually. Why? Because the stress of the job will cause changes in any individual. And if we see an officer starting to deteriorate, it's incumbent upon that supervisor, be it a sergeant, lieutenant, major, whomever, or chief, to now look at that officer and say, no, I can't send you out into a community because now I'm endangering the community and not protecting and serving that community. So step one is to look at the mental health of that officer to see if he or she needs to be reassigned so that they are not endangering the community and they could successfully protect and serve the community. That's step one. Step two, we need to look at also the issue of qualified immunity. Because again, part of the problem is when an officer there's no accountability, then we continue to see the same patterns of behavior that currently go on and throughout society in city after city, state after state, and throughout our country. So looking at those two areas, but then on the flip side, getting police officers more engaged in our community and using also programs like the Police Athletic League, where they have an opportunity to work with youth in the community and getting funding that will also help underwrite the cost of implementing such a program. So that again, if we don't get them connected and they are distanced and separated and they're viewed as enemies, it's not going to solve the problem. It's only going to exacerbate the problem. And our goal here is to find what we can and use whatever resources we have available to deal with criminal justice reform. But that's just one tier. We also have to look at now our judges when we talk about criminal justice reform and deal with the issue of sentencing disparities. How is it that, for example, I have two offenders. One is white, one is black. Both committed an act of rape. One gets less than 5 years in prison. The other gets over 20 years in prison. And the only difference when they did the rating score for these two different cases, their rating score was exactly the same. And the only difference between the two, outside of the judges that did the sentencing, was the fact that one was white and one was black. So black offenders tend to be sentenced at higher levels and for longer periods of time than white offenders. And then the last piece of this puzzle for criminal justice reform that I'll present today is going to be dealing with our bails bonds program. Because right now, bail bonds, again, we still have disparities there. And with those disparities, we're finding out that some people are still sitting in prison, not because they've been found guilty. They haven't even gone to court and been adjudicated. They're sitting in jail right now, awaiting that process because they can't afford to get out on bond. They've been appointed a court-appointed attorney, which tells you that they can't afford an attorney, but still the court has not looked at that in its totality to say, if you can't afford an attorney, there's a good chance you can't afford the bond. So we need to reform the bail bonds program. We need to reform our judges. We also need to address the issue with our law enforcement officers and reform that. And then we also need to look at what laws are on the books, i.e. like Stand Your Ground and others, that are unnecessarily creating issues that are plaguing the Black and brown community and allowing certain behaviors to manifest themselves in different ways unnecessarily and in many cases unconstitutionally.
I think your criminal justice pillar is a very vast area, and that itself can take you an entire term because you detail it so well. I was taking notes, then let me go through some bullet points, that way I can translate. First, you have one focusing and the police officers, then you want them to really be trained, and you focus and more mental assessment of them on a yearly basis, a screening. The second one, you spoke about qualifying immunity. Then one, I know how to explain it. Then you spoke about Police Athletic League. You spoke about the judges' inequities and the way they sentence. And lastly, I think it's about people not having the means to pay for
Bail bonds.
lawyer. And what happened to them? They are still incarcerated and they're waiting in jail.
Right. They haven't been tried. They haven't gone to court. They're sitting in jail awaiting a hearing. And sometimes the state attorney's office may prolong the hearing. They may say reschedule, and that person could sit in jail for 3-5 years and not have been even charged with a crime.
And okay, but this is something serious there.
Yes.
But who's the jail system? That's an entire because I was gonna ask you, who's paying for them to stay in jail? First of all, taxpayer money. You see that?
Exactly.
And I don't want to go there because some of the issues I know you will have to really continue your leadership to really tackle them because they are very serious issues.
Mm-hmm.
Go and tell my people, li di ke ça fait justice lan distripal lan, so bagay sérieux. Li ta remen que policier yo fait évaluation psychologique chaque année parce que yo l'on job qui assez stressant. Li ta remen que ça fait que moun yo enikrete facilement même si yo commet un crime et puis yo ba il en rete imbattable que policier yo comme y a fait des trainings pour jeunes tout par exemple li bay non police athletic league faut que yo même tout à garder si yo pas bénéficier de training ça pour yo ta ka servi communauté en mieux. Il va aller des juges yo. Il dit que il y a des juges qui bay des sentences ou gen yon moun noir, yon moun l'autre couleur, yon panyol et pour ouais, le plus souvent c'est moun noir qui fait plus temps en prison. Dernier son gros problème parce que li dit que gan pile moun qui chita a mourir en prison, yo pas jamais joindre justice parce que yo pas jamais vraiment jugé parce que yo pas gen l'argent pour yo payer pour un avocat. But I still feel I need to go back to that bail and the state of people in jail.
Yes.
That will be, you know, you're gonna face challenges there or in oppositions, but how do you gonna advocate for these people?
Well, again, you know, if you go look at the fact that if you read them their Miranda rights, and in their Miranda rights, it says if you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you.
Yeah.
That tells you right then and there, if they appoint an attorney via the court to defend an alleged offender, because again, he's still alleged until he's been convicted or she has been convicted of a crime. Then they should be permitted the opportunity from a bail standpoint. See, the bail is just there to force them to come back to court. That's why they put up that money so that they don't lose it. However, if I can't afford an attorney, there's a good chance I can't afford to pay bail either. And an attorney is going to be more expensive than the bail. So I can't afford the attorney. I can't afford the bail, which also takes us to what we're dealing with now with Amendment 4 and this whole fight to restore the rights.
That we fought so much for, and unfortunately, elections in 25 days and many people will not be able to vote because of those outstanding fees, making us feel like that our vote did not matter.
Exactly.
Mr. Howard Ford, Radio TV with Dr. Flo was very pleased to have you. If you have to give your pitch and tell the people to get out and vote for you, now we're giving you that chance to do so.
Okay. Well, in closing, and as a lifetime Democrat, I believe that I'm the best candidate because of my education and experience. And unlike any of my opponents, I've never worked for a Republican congressman. I've never worked on the campaign of a Republican to help get them elected in a municipal race. I've disclosed all of my records as required by the state at the time of qualifying. But more importantly, I'm committed to the community just as I'm committed to my family. And if you're looking for the change and a plan for results, punch number 65 in the booth or bubble 65 on your mail-in ballot. And just know that I'm accessible at any time. If you need to get in touch with me, reach out to Dr. Floor, and she'll definitely put you in touch with me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you at this time. Thank you. God bless. I look forward to your vote.
Monsieur Howard Ford dit que c'est lui-même qui pi bon candidat dans mi-temps tout candidat yo parce que li gen éducation pour ça. Il dit lui-même, il pas jamais travaille pour aucun candidat. Ça veut dire que il pas gen intérêt personnel là-dedans. Il c'est un vrai démocrate et il croit que si ou pral voter ou pas qu'elle en fait quoi. I just said don't do the cross because some Haitians do the cross. You said to bubble. Il dit c'est pour remplir espace là complètement. Numéro c'est numéro 65. Mr. Howell Ford, best of luck to you and Radio TV with Dr. Flo. Really thank you for your time and your service in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Floor. I appreciate your time. God bless, and I wish you well in your race.
Take care.
Information, inspiration, motivation, conscientisation et surtout, distraction. Gardez tout, votre pot pourri avec Flore. Votre Flore, tous les samedis, 6h, 7h. Gardez tout, la radio pour réfléchir.